Familiar foes on the biggest stage about to meet again. The Giants having defeated the Patriots the last 3 times, 2 of them coming at the Super Bowl. Tom Coughlin and his Giants, they've been fearless against the Patriots.
Well, that's right. They're excited about this game for a couple of reasons. One, the Patriots' offensive line is beat up. Can they take advantage of that? And they know they have a hot quarterback who's playing very well in Eli Manning.
And Bill Belichick with a lot of roots here in the Giants organization.
New England, it's your choice. Who will call the toss?
Long-time assistant here.
Heads is the call.
Won a couple of
Tails
Super
is the
Bowls.
shield. Field is the salute to
Serving under
symbol.
Bill Parcells.
You called heads. The call is heads. It is tails. The Giants have won the toss. You wish to defer. The Giants have won the toss and will defer. You wish to receive. Which direction you want to kick? Let's switch it around then, please.
So the Giants elect to give the football to Brady
Patriots
and
will
company
receive at this end of
to
the
open
field.
up the
Good
game,
luck, gentlemen.
deferring. Before we get to the game, we want to pause to honor the more than 120 killed and 350 injured in the terror attacks in Paris on Friday. Here and at all NFL stadiums today, we pay respect to the victims.
Ladies and gentlemen, on Friday, the entire world experienced a tragic loss of lives in the terrorist attacks against civilians in Paris. At this time, please stand and join in a moment of silent reflection for the victims, their families, and loved ones. Thank you. As part of the Giants and the NFL's Salute to Service today, we welcome our season ticket holders who are veterans of the military, as well as active members of all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces to unfurl our flag. The Joint Honor Service Guard is presenting our colors. Please remain standing and join, from the Air Force, Senior Master Sergeant Ryan Carson as he sings our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, once so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars to the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Air Force Senior
Powerful scene here and all across the NFL landscape as the victims in France are remembered. Friends, it's good to have you with us. Jim Nantz along, of course, with the Super Bowl MVP quarterback Phil Simms. Patriots running away with their division, AFC East. The Giants lead the NFC East. What is it about the Giants when they've been matched up against the Patriots? They played them tough. They have not been intimidated. And what must they do today against New England.
Well, the guy that leads them, Tom Coughlin, loves a fight. And I think when you play the Patriots, everybody's always a little afraid and careful. That will not be the Giants today. I think they're willing to go out there, take chances. That's what you have to do. Get those big plays to beat one of the best teams in football in the Patriots.
Well, in the NFC East already today, the Redskins win. The Eagles and the Cowboys both dropped their games. Giants on top at 5-4. And heading into their bye after this one, while there's a huge bulge between the Patriots and the Bills and the Jets at 5-4. The Dolphins winners today over Philadelphia on the road. This game is being broadcast in Spanish. We're available using the SAP button on your television. Josh Brown, who's had a good season for the Giants, in fact an outstanding season, hasn't missed a field goal. Had another big kick last week in the win down at Tampa in the late going. And he's going to send it down to Danny Amendola. You always wonder about that decision when you give the Patriots a chance to handle it first. They've scored on their opening drive the last 4 games.
I would think one of the big reasons why they're doing this, Jim, is because the state of the Patriots offensive line.
The Brown kick travels 7 yards deep and earns a touchback. So Tom Brady, since capping off that 16-0 regular season back in 07 with a win here 38-35. Well, since that time again, the Giants have beaten them the last 3 occasions, but Tom's averaging 339 yards a game. He's thrown a couple of touchdowns in every outing this season. That line, the big question that, Phil, you have raised. Fleming starts at left tackle. Gronkowski was really kept in more as a blocker last week in the victory over the Redskins than a receiver threat. They're coming out here now with 3 tights on first down, and the give is to Blunt, who's coming off a 29-carry game against the Redskins. That's a pickup of 5, and here's the Giants defense. And this is the second game back for JPP. Pierre Paul making his return last week down to Tampa. Casillas earned a ring last year playing for the Super Bowl winning Patriots, now a Giant. And Merriweather came into the league as a first-round pick for New England back in 2007. Now with his 4th team. 2nd and 5, and once again, right where they left it last week, Blunt, time and time again being called on. First 2 times today. That one picks up 3 into the arms of Casillas.
Well, you talked about that offensive line of the Patriots, and one of the reasons why you always think the Patriots can handle problems with their offensive line is because they're able to run so many different offenses. They can spread it out, they can tighten it up. We've already seen 3 tight ends and 2 tight ends on the first 2 plays.
3rd and 2. Best in the league converting 3rd downs, New England. The Giants next to last in preventing conversions. Bolden's the 3rd down back. Brady has to move out of the pocket, buys the time to find Amendola for the first near the 39-yard line.
Danny Amendola came out of the backfield, goes in motion. Tom Brady has him open. Watch him go across the middle, but doesn't like to take a chance early. Be careful. One thing we talked about the last time we did the New England Patriots, Jim, that Tom Brady moves in the pocket more and outside the pocket more than we've seen in all the past years. So Gronkowski on a wing to the right, and now he'll move around as Blunt gets the first down handle again, and it's a 5-yard pickup. We've got an update. Back to the studio we go.
Green Bay trying to battle back.
Yeah, watch Aaron Rodgers find from 11 yards out Justin Perillo for this touchdown. They needed a 2-point play to tie it. But watch this great defensive play right here by Cresdon. Butler knocks away from Devontae Adams. Detroit is still just trailing, is winning by 2. But Green Bay just recovered an onside kick. So this game ain't over yet.
Back out to Jim Nance.
Hey, that's what we call play-by-play, Coach Cowher. Well done. 2nd and 5. And Blunt stacked up after a yard, maybe 2.
Well, you see a little difference here. They're feeling their way out in this game. Josh McDaniels, offensive coordinator for the Patriots. Look, you got to be, they're concerned as coaches about this offensive line. So be careful to start the game. Play those extra tight ends and don't put those tackles, Corey Fleming at left tackle and Stork at right tackle. Make it as easy on them as you can until they get a gauge on how they're going to perform against the defensive ends.
They bring in James White along with Bolden. The two backs side by side with Brady on 3rd and 4. And it's Edelman open and another 3rd down conversion. One-on-one coverage by Collins, but Edelman always manages to slip past the defender and get open on occasions like this.
Well, they love to stack the receivers. What does it do? It makes you play a little back as a defensive back, and that's what that time you saw Collins, a safety against Edelman. That is a great matchup for the New England Patriots.
Edelman now with his 58th catch of the season, came in on pace for 114 receptions. Had a 105 catch season a year ago. 1st down here. Now throwing Brady. He's got another completion. It's the 3rd game back for Brandon LaFell, and he's getting better by the week. Had a 100-yard receiving game against Washington. This goes for 12.
Well, they love this. When you're playing the Patriots, if you're going to, on the defensive side, when you're playing pass coverage, what would you do, Jim, when you have JPP on the rush getting double teamed? You got Edelman, you got Gronk, so you want those defensive backs inside. So you're going to get a lot of one-on-one coverages outside. LaFell took advantage of it that time.
Blunt, the running back. As the Patriots have picked up 3 first downs, and they go to Blunt. Double whammy and still going near the 1st. Spun around off of 2 giant collisions.
Well, really a well-orchestrated first drive for the New England Patriots. No surprise, just doing a little bit of everything, keeping the defense off balance, getting this offensive line started. They got to have confidence the way they started this game. No pressure on Tom Brady so far.
You can see what they've done opening drives. They've scored on every opening drive of the second half. And again, 5 out of 8 on the first quarter opening drive, including 4 in a row. Blunt. Give him 3. Blunt with 5 carries and a catch here on this first possession. And the Giants exchange a little bit back and forth. Marcus Kuhn.
Well, JPP, we watched him. We saw him get double teamed one time. That's the guy. Even though last week was his first game back from that hand injury, that's the guy that scares New England. We saw him double teamed, and they'll keep an extra blocker or a running back against him as much as they can.
Well, they empty out the backfield. Bolden at the bottom of the screen on 2nd and 7, and that was intended for Edelman. They'll face 3rd down for the 3rd time on this opening series.
Well, they move Edelman around so much. Hard to stay up with him. Let's watch JPP this time. Another double team. 3-man rush. Tough to get through there now. He learned a lot last week, Jason Pierre-Paul, playing with the cast on his hand. Thought today he would be much better. Got a glove on that hand instead of a cast. Hoping he can use it more, especially rushing the passer.
The drive has lasted 6 minutes. From the 25, it's 3rd and 7. Brady again has to move the feet, now takes off, and he's got the first down. It's going to be his 2nd longest run of the season. And he lets the New York crowd know he's got the first down.
He's saving all these big runs for down in the scoring territory. We saw one a couple weeks ago, but might have been the difference in beating the New York Jets down to the 1-yard line. But he wants to go to Edelman. Look inside. He gets knocked down by Hosley. So Tom Brady, what a job. What blocking up front. Pulls it down and gets the first down.
That was a 10-yard run. He had the 11-yard run you referenced against the Jets, his longest of the season. And on first down, it's Blunt. Got a great block from Gronkowski.
Well, you got to know your personnel. Shaq Mason, where'd he play, Jim? Georgia Tech. Oh, you think he knows how to pull and block people on the move? Just solid contact allows Blunt, who himself is really a glorified pulley guard, runs up in there and always falls forward once he gets hit.
Yeah, big enough to be one. Gronkowski just took out Robert Ayers and really helped clear the way. So 1st and goal, and a flag is out.
12 men on the field. Defense. Half the distance to the goal. It's 1st down.
Ed Hockley, the referee today.
Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator, trying a lot of different things. So when you got a lot of different ways to try to stop an offense that's so multiple, you're going to have problems. And you can count the guys across. 4, 8, 12. Man, how about that? I divided it by 4 gyms and got it done.
They got Shaq Mason lined up as fullback. And he'll snap it at the 2. Barker's in the game as a tackle. It's Blunt. Straight ahead. Kuhn has him low, and a whole bunch of Giants have him around the shoulder pads. Got about a half yard.
Well, this crowd, it's a great crowd. You could feel the electricity here in the stadium before the game, and they're waiting for something to really cheer about. But the Patriots are methodical in the way they march down the field. And
well, they've had the football for over half the quarter now. Past 8 minutes long. They've had 5 plays that have gathered at least 10 yards or longer. 2nd and goal. Again, Mason lines up in the backfield. Brady, play action, looks to the back of the end zone, and there is his man Chandler for the touchdown. The former Buffalo Bill tight end, Scott Chandler, with his 2nd touchdown catch of the year.
First, so much of this is just Tom Brady knowing the plays. He's done it so much. Here goes Gronkowski back in the end zone. They do this a lot. And watch it, the original Gronkowski going across first. He's covered. Brady falls back, throws it off his back foot, and hits Chandler for the touchdown. And Tom Brady's probably thrown about 25 touchdowns in his career on that exact play.
Well, he's already thrown for the season now 23 with that one. He had 5 completions to 5 different receivers, and Gostowski adds the extra point. How about 8 minutes and 20 seconds? Right down the field to the end zone to Chandler. Well, there are the final numbers on the 14-play touchdown drive, over 8 minutes long. I'm going to play the real numbers, though. You've got the Giants are last in the league defensively, give up more yardage than anyone, and you might have the best single unit in the game in the New England offense, but you give them the football first, and you're right away down 7.
Something you have to question. What you do, Jim, you cheat yourself out of maybe one extra possession by kicking off of the game. I'm a big believer now. Take the football.
Yeah, but in this situation, you think that's the right thing to do, is to let New England, with all that information you have
During the
there.
return, holding by the receiving team, number 26. Let's enforce half the distance to the goal. The Giants keep the ball, 1st down.
You know, the success they have with opening drives and all of that, 35 points a
The
game.
last thing I want to see is Tom Brady on the field. Does that answer it?
Yeah.
Okay.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by the all-new 2016 Honda Civic.
From the Bronx Zoo to MetLife Stadium, and the Giants' first snap of the game off the special teams penalty at the 9, with Jennings getting the carry for about 4. Eli Manning became the Giants' all-time winningest quarterback with his 96th win as a starter last week down at Tampa. Philly was in a tie with you going into that one.
I don't think there was ever any doubt he's going to pass me, but he loves this new system where he can catch the ball, get rid of it quickly. He's been accurate with the football. Let's see how New England plays this quick passing game of the Giants.
It's resulted in his highest completion percentage of his career, and down he goes. It's Beckham getting loose, and he's going to take it the distance. 87 yards.
Well, the Giants said we want to get this football down the field, top of the screen, the best cover corner for the Patriots, Malcolm Butler. And then what happens, even though they were in a defense to stop that play from being big, the safety, I think it was McCourty, too aggressive, got outside, and Beckham comes underneath it.
Beckham in his first appearance against the Patriots gives him a little sampling of his talents. Second snap for New York. They strike big right between Butler and McCourty. Career long here in his second year. He's posted crazy numbers. This is his longest reception ever in the 2 years. Never miss a moment of football action with the CBS Sports app. Every play and score, every game, and every highlight right as they happen. Download the CBS Sports app now at cbssports.com/mobile.
Well, single coverage on Odell Beckham Jr. Might have to rethink that. Malcolm Butler was close, but Devin McCourty, the safety, just got out of position and gave him the big play.
You're looking at Coach Belichick on his tablet. That was the longest pass play ever allowed by New England during Belichick's time. Amendola out to about the 20. I was watching during pregame warm-ups. Beckham sought out Belichick, went over and shook his hand. And now he just shook up this crowd as they've answered the Patriots' opening touchdown with an electrifying 87-yarder.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx. How the holidays arrive. And by Zales. Declare your love with gifts from Zales, the Diamond Store.
Yeah, some shrimp on the Barbie here at MetLife in the tailgating today on a beautiful day. High 50s, clear skies. Breezes should not be a factor. Jim Nantz, Phil Simms, Tracy Wolfson on site after the 8-minute and 20-second drive by the Patriots. 14 plays. The Giants respond in 2 plays. That was intended for Bolden. Let's go down to Tracy.
Thanks, Jim. You mentioned that specially made glove that JPP wore during practice and to start this game. Well, after that last drive, he went into the locker room. He just felt more comfortable with that bandage-like glove on that right hand. So he's out here. He's not in pain at all, but it looks like he will go with that bandage for the rest of this game, Jim.
Okay, so back last week. Thank you, Tracy. Had a couple of quarterback hits in his return game. Only 4 months since the accident over the 4th of July with the firecrackers. Fireworks. Here's a 2nd and 10, and that pass was intended for Amendola. We're going to get some more update information from our guys in New York. Take it away.
Peyton's got it done.
And here it is, the record-breaking pass, all-time passing yards leader. It's going to be Peyton Manning to Ronnie Hillman, 4 yards, and there it is. Breaks Brett Favre's record of 71,838, and it's counting.
Back to Jim Nantz.
Thank you, JB, coach. 3rd and 10. MetLife has come to life. Here's the throw to Amendola, and the Giants are there to cover it up.
They love screens on 3rd and long, the New England Patriots. But I got to think, Jim, today they're doing this just to protect this offensive line. And how do you stop a screen? It's where you rush the passer, turn, make the screen catcher take one step one way or the other, and you got to chase it down from behind. Giants did a good job that time.
Ryan Allen with the dangerous Dwayne Harris back deep. And it's a good punt. He has to step back to the 20. 10 yards before there's contact, make it an 11-yard run back. We've got a flag down near midfield. It was a 57-yard punt. Slater shaken up, the 4-time Pro Bowl special teamer. Such an unsung hero on this Patriot squad. He gets the Pro Bowl recognition, but when people talk about the team Yeah, you put him on your board as a wide receiver every once in a while. They'll try to throw a deep ball his way, but he comes out here and just makes plays in the special teams.
Well, during the return, illegal block in the back by the receiving team, number 46. That's a 10-yard penalty. The Giants will keep the ball after enforcement. First down.
So 2 special teams plays and 2 penalties against the Giants. That one on James Morris. Rookie left tackle Eric Flowers, 9th selection overall out of Miami. And Beckham already starring here with that 87-yard catch and run. Drop back for Eli, and that pass, he was trying to get back to Odell Jr. Now this Patriot defense, Chandler Jones with 9.5 sacks. He has more sacks than the entire Giant defense combined. Freeney coming in as Collins is inactive today. Still with an illness, unable to play. Butler and Beckham. That's a matchup we expect to see a lot of. They're at the top of the screen right now on 2nd and 10.
118.
Jennings for just 1. Hightower has the stop. Let's go back for an update in New York.
Hey, Jim, we're calling the same play we did the first time.
Here's Chakandrick West now. He scores from 4 yards out. This comes after a Peyton Manning interception. And on the following series,
yep.
There it is right there. The 4-yard pass to Ronnie Hillman to break Brett Favre's record for all-time passing yards leader.
So we know Jim Nance has a photographic memory. He wanted to see that. Back to Jim Nance.
Absolutely. Peyton and the Broncos, though, down in that one 10-0 now is the score. Here's a 3rd and 9. Thank you, JB and Coach. Manning's pass is caught by Will Tye. They're going to mark him about a foot shy of the first. Freeney was on him and pushed him back. They're without their starting tight end Larry Donnell today. He's out with a neck injury. So Will Tye is going to see all the action at that position, most of it anyway.
Well, the good thing there was the tackle. Eli Manning went to the right guy, and you talk about Will Tye. You saw how big he is. They would like to give him more opportunities today than they usually do.
Yeah, he's a rookie out of Stony Brook. Wing, left-footed booter, and he's a good one. He's got the fair catch. Demanded at the other end by Amendola. 41-yard punt. 7's on the board here in the first quarter. Thursday night football. Your weekend starts with the AFC South matchup between the Titans and the Jaguars. Thursday night football only on NFL Network. Jacksonville hosting, and the Jags coming off a last-second winning kick today at Baltimore.
Yep, incredible finish for him. Finally, you know, the Jaguars, they've let so many leads slip away. They got a big break and took advantage of it today.
It's Blunt. Early contact by Brinkley helped hold him to only a 3-yard gain. Now we're seeing a lot of Blunt. Deion Lewis, he's out for the year. What a boost he was to this offense.
Oh, yes, everything.
Quick as anybody we'd seen in the league. They're down to 3 running backs now. Blunt, Bolden, and James White.
Well, the thing about the Patriots, we've already talked about it. They got so many ways they can adjust. Tom Brady's been in the same offense for 16 years, and they can morph into anything, like I've said many times. A power offense, a finesse offense, but most of all, it's confusing.
Gronkowski at the bottom of the screen. 2nd and 7. And that's Amendola with the catch. And knocked down immediately by Kennard. Gain of 4 to be 3rd and short.
I had this coach once, you know, I think you know who I'm talking about. Sometimes he got angry on the sidelines. He goes, you can't be everything. You got to choose what you're going to be. And my point about the Patriots offense, they are really the only team in the league, or the most diversified in the league. They can do everything.
Well, that coach that you spoke of, these 2 head coaches today, both understudies to Bill Parcells, on the staff together here for several years. Coughlin and Belichick. 3rd and 3. As Brady from the middle of the pocket has Edelman, who's able to get away from Dahl, and then driven into the ground by Brinkley.
Good job by Tom Brady standing in the pocket. That's what I noticed first. Watch Jason Pierre-Paul against Cameron Fleming. And Tom Brady could see the opening of the field. He wasn't reading Edelman. He knew he was going to come across. He was looking at the space and let him right in there for the big game.
That 30-yard pass play that was. And on first down, up and over the top. And that was Chandler they were going back to. He's looking around, but there's no flag. Craig Dahl, one of those with the hit on the tight end.
They love these plays. Tight ends to the backside of the wide receivers. It was 2 tight ends that time, Chandler and Williams, and they like sending that inside one right up the seam like that. The Giants, they were ready for it and defended it. They created that play, the Patriots did. Now everybody in the league tries it, but all you need is 2 good tight ends and Tom Brady, a quarterback. Tough to duplicate it.
Second down and 10 from the Giants 32. And a timeout call by Brady. Minute to go here in the first quarter. An exciting start to this one. Tomorrow on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, don't miss Bill Maher, plus Medal of Honor winner Captain Florent Groberg, who you saw during the pregame activities here today. All new tomorrow. Colbert, only CBS. Bolden is the back, second down and 10. Edelman's third catch will set up third and about 4.
Well, so far, the little short passes that New England has thrown, the Giants have done a pretty good job against the short ones. And that was the big coaching point. When they throw it short, we need everybody running at the receiver because, Jim, you know, the Patriots lead the league, or, you know, I don't know if it's official, catching the ball short and making big plays out of it.
They send Gronkowski to the far right. He has not been targeted so far in this game. He's got Rogers Cromartie on him. Third and 4. White is the running back. Brady's throw. Back to Edelman. And another first down.
Well, it's really hard. It's impossible to fool Tom Brady. It is. Here we come. Here comes the blitz. Tevin Wade. So he comes off of Edelman. Tom Brady, oh, let me just relax here. Sit back. Put it right on the money. A good try at a disguise by the Giants defense. But it didn't work, and Edelman limping off the field.
Patriots may not run another play in this quarter. By the way, by scoring that touchdown, scoring in this quarter, that is now 32 consecutive quarters they have scored points. That sets an all-time NFL record. They had shared it with one of Peyton's teams back in 2005 and the greatest show on turf, the Rams,
So you're telling
of
me they're good.
yesteryear.
Is that what you're saying?
And they're driving again.
There we go.
Edelman was injured on that 12-yard pass play, the last play of the first quarter, and watch as Brinkley falls on his right ankle, and immediately Julian started to kind of reach down in that area, and as he approached the bench, he slammed his helmet down in frustration. Taking the shoe off now of his left ankle.
Yes, his left. It looked like it got caught in the ground and twisted.
And that's a handoff to Blunt to open up quarter number 2. With Edelman, you always think he's going to come back. This guy is as tough as they come, but slamming down a helmet and being treated as the Patriots march on here. 2nd and 8. Gronkowski wide to the left.
One thing so far, every time Gronkowski goes outside, the Giants, being smart, putting the defensive back on him.
Brady's looking his way, goes underneath to Gronkowski. His first catch, a gain of 4.
Excellent job by J-Ron Hosley. It's a little pick play to the outside. He sees it coming and gets underneath and stops it short. Amendola's going out. Gronkowski comes under. Excellent job.
So it's a 3rd and 4 inside the 10, mark it at the 8. You see Brady with 19 red zone touchdown passes this season. One of those coming in the first quarter today. With pressure, he's taken down at the 13. Only the 10th sack of the season by the Giants.
Here comes the blitz, but really what it is, it's the pressure that Tom Brady feels is going to come up the middle. Cullen Jenkins and Pierre Paul, number 90, on the outside. Good stand by the Giants. That's their chance. It's not really to beat them with speed today, Jim. It's to push the pocket. Quarterbacks hate when everybody's around their feet trying to throw the football.
31 yards for Gostowski, who has not missed the entire season. A field goal, he's now 20 for 20, or a PAT, making all 32 of those. So the Giants shut him down inside the 10. Patriots get the field goal. Today's Next Gen Stats presented by Esurance, auto and home insurance for the modern world. We saw Matthew Slater shaken up on some punt coverage a little earlier, but he's right back out there. It was a shoulder, but he's able to continue to play. But Edelman, meanwhile, is headed to the locker room. Offense so injury riddled on the offensive line, having already lost Dion Lewis, as we mentioned, for the season a week ago. They can't afford to lose Edelman. Let's take a look at Next Gen Stats presented by Esurance. And let's talk about Rob Gronkowski, where he lines up. So far today, targeted once on that last trip, 4-yard catch. What do you see here, Phil?
Well, I see when he lines up. It's first off, what I see, targets the reception, a high percentage of completions when they throw it to Gronkowski. But when he plays the tight end position, why is it so good at that when he's there? Because he's going against linebackers, safeties, and he has more field to work with. Almost impossible to stop in that situation.
The former Patriot Shane Vereen lined up on the left side on a wing for Manning and the Giants. And a try to get it over to Vereen, who was covered up by Chung. Tomorrow, Supergirl takes flight in a new episode of the hit drama. It's at 8/7 Central. Only CBS America's #1 network.
Well, you got to know, Tom Coughlin, an aggressive coach, looks for big plays, loves it, wants his football team to throw it down the field more. I thought Patrick Chung got away with the illegal contact down the field that time against Shane Vereen.
Vereen slides over into a slot on the right side, 2nd and 10. Vereen tried to stab it with one hand. It almost didn't look as if he was sure it was intended for him.
Well, the Giants have used him very well this year, Shane Vereen. Eli Manning has never really had a running back, as he says it, where they can just put him out as a wide receiver out of the backfield, and he can beat just about any kind of coverage.
3rd and 10. Trying to prevent a second straight 3 and out, the Giants offense. Here's Eli finding an open man for the first down. It's Harris. Needed 10, got 10.
Good movement by Eli Manning, getting out of the pocket. It allows Dwayne Harris to come all the way across the field. And he beats Justin Coleman that time on the coverage.
Second first down of the game for the Giants. Give it to Vereen. He was being patient, but nothing ever opened up. Only one. Let's go down to Tracy.
Well, Jim, you saw Julian Edelman being taken into the locker room. They are calling it a left foot injury. He is questionable to return right now.
Okay. You thought when you saw Edelman slam down his helmet, that was telling.
It's not a good sign. Usually the player knows, so I'm sure right now everybody, Edelman included, hope he was wrong on his initial diagnosis.
2nd and 9, it's Vereen, and he's going to have the first down. Freeney caught up to him, but not until he picks up 11.
If you're going to play tight man-to-man coverage, then you got to know you're going to have a linebacker sometimes against Shane Vereen. I would think the Giants, the top two threats, the Patriots, the top two threats they're worried about, Odell Beckham Jr. and Shane Vereen are the two top on their priority list.
First and 10. And underneath they go to Harris. He's able to slip away and go right up the middle and into New England territory for a gain of 12. He got away from Freeney.
This New England defense, they can get to the quarterback in a lot of different ways. Tough to get to Eli Manning today because, one, Ben McAdoo has installed what? A very quick passing game. Eli Manning reads it quick, gets rid of the football.
That's Vereen for 3. Yeah, this whole McAdoo system. Get the ball out fast. Eli loves it.
Well, of course he does. It's a quarterback, as he said, we hear it all the time, the term, a quarterback-friendly offense, lots of completions. I think sometimes the detriment of it is that you get so used to throwing it underneath, can you still be good at throwing it down the field when you need that big play?
That's Andre Williams with his first carry, actually second carry of the game for no gain this time. These two quarterbacks, and then Brady with the win. That closed out the regular season back in 07, December 29th. That was that thrilling 38-35 game. Only to meet up a few weeks later in Arizona with the Giants winning it. And then winning at New England in 2011, ending the Patriots' 20-game home win streak. And then, of course, in Indianapolis a couple of months later that same season, Giants again. One-on-one, trying to take advantage of it, and the catch is made by Miles White. Only his third catch of the entire season. Goes for 28.
Well, it's against a rookie on that side, Justin Coleman. And I swear, as Odell Beckham Jr. went by Eli Manning, he said something to him, and Odell Beckham Jr. was wide open going across the middle, but Eli Manning said nope. Right before the ball snapped, he liked the matchup and took advantage of it.
Beckham at the bottom of the screen, Butler on him. Pressure, and down goes Manning with the football coming out. Ninkovich is sure his side has it. He already heads to the sideline. Recovery. New England knocked out of Manning's hand by Chandler Jones.
Chandler Jones one-on-one, 9.5 sacks this year. Took advantage of it. Eli Manning looked for that second receiver. Causes a fumble.
Justin Coleman with the recovery.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Citizen Echo Drive. Fueled by light, it never needs a battery. Auto Trader, life happens one car search at a time. And by Ameriprise Financial, when you have the right financial advisor, life can be brilliant.
This red zone takeaway by the Patriots ends the longest drought in the league by any team without coming up with a takeaway in the red zone. That had been 59 opponent possessions. And the ball is tipped and dangerously in the air for a moment. Well, Pierre-Paul, we sat down with him yesterday. He talked openly about the accident over the 4th of July. He told us he didn't feel anything. He wasn't even in shock.
Yeah. I think what was interesting, too, look, he says, I thought his first game against Tampa was really good for the situation he came in, Jim. He's on the field. He's got a presence. He says, just give me a little time. I'll get back to where I was.
Blunt. And grabbed low by Casillas. Gain of 2. You know, it was amazing to hear Pierre-Paul talk about what he's overcome in the 4 months, the rehabbing every day just so that some of the things away from football, buttoning a shirt,
right,
etc., how that has changed and how he's starting to get accustomed to a new way.
Well, his faith was always there. Said he would always knew he would come back. But let me just say this. We talked about it earlier. No Dion Lewis, no Julian Edelman. Man, this can make a defense get brave now. Less targets that you have to worry about.
3rd and 8. And open, Gronkowski. Flag is thrown in the secondary as he runs through a couple of Giants. One anyway, picks up 20.
Had him on the move. Let's see if that's against Gronkowski.
Pass interference, offense number 87. It was a push-off. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat 3rd down.
Well, they moved Gronkowski this time inside, not having success
Half a
outside.
distance to the goal.
You saw the push. That was down the field. Tevin Wade had position. You just can't knock him out of the way, is what Gronkowski did.
First penalty of the game against New England.
Yeah, you got a re-shifted offensive line all over the place. Worried about that. You lost Julian Edelman.
Aaron Dobson has come in for the Patriot receiving corps. 3rd and 17. It's White. And again, it's Wade in on this play. Gain of 5, 4th and 12.
Good job by the Giants. I really do believe Steve Spagnuolo, this defensive coordinator, can change some of the thought processes he had before this game. Well, they were going to double team Julian Edelman sometimes. Him out.
There's Ryan Allen. Didn't catch all of that one, but gets the big hop and fielded over the shoulder by Harris. But the Giants will like this starting point, their own 46.
Patriots football team 16-0.
The New York Giants have knocked off the New England Patriots to the end zone. Touchdown Giants. Jake Ballard, and the ball game's over, and the Giants have won Super Bowl 46.
With all these pass plays Coughlin's crew comes up with against Belichick. And got another one today, the longest pass play ever given up by
It's unbelievable.
a Belichick team at New England, the 87-yarder.
Well, look, it is special, I think, when these two go against each other because they coach together with the Giants. It's almost like you want to beat your friend sometimes more than you do anybody else.
Giants have Darkwa in at tailback. And the second-year running back out of Tulane gets it to midfield. Tonight, Scott Pelley reports from Paris on the terrorist attacks, plus how the NFL is changing the game to better protect the players. That's 60 minutes tonight.
Odell Beckham Jr. moving around, going from one side of formation to the other. Ben McAdoo, the offensive coordinator, said, we're putting a lot on him this week. A lot of different positions, a lot of movement.
Second and 7. That's Will Tye trying to fight for the first down. He's within a yard. It'll be 3rd and less than 1. There is Ben McAdoo.
Well, Ben McAdoo, Jim, was hired for one reason, to get Eli Manning to be a more efficient quarterback. I'd say the job's been accomplished in a year and a half.
3rd down.
He brought that along with him too. Aaron Rodgers with the snap count, tries to draw you off sides. Didn't work against the Patriots that time.
The pitch it to Darkwa. He's got the first. At the 41. He ran behind Will Tye, the tight end.
Well, you know, you talk about Darkwa, all of a sudden, you know, they got Rashad Jennings, Andre Williams, Shane Vereen, and then Darkwa comes in. Why? Because he was doing it in practice, showing how hard he was doing it, and they put him in the game, and he took advantage of his opportunity by getting tough yards.
First down, running play. That's Darkwa. There actually was contact in the backfield. Would have been a loss, but able to shake it off away from Hightower.
Wow, that's
and gain 4.
And I'm gonna tell you what, that everything we just said came to fruition there. Hightower is a big linebacker, and he's gotten so good at doing something like that, shooting up through the middle, trying to make plays against the pass. That time he almost got the tackle for a loss.
2nd and 6. Play action. And open. Manning completes it to Cunningham, the backup tight end, with just his 4th catch of the season. So they've gotten Cunningham into the action. They've got Miles White with a big catch as well in this game.
Yeah, they're kind of going that, hey, look, they know what the Patriots love to do. So who are they throwing the football to? There's Cunningham. They throw it to Will Tye.
First down run by Darkwa for 2.
And White, so kind of reminds you of what the Patriots try to do. Get some matches that you like.
Yeah, throwing it to guys you don't expect.
Don't expect, that's it.
Between Tye and Cunningham and White.
Why do you want to keep throwing against the best cover guys of the Patriots when you can choose linebackers or reserve defensive backs?
Meanwhile, Randall hasn't been targeted. There's a pass down at the 2 in the direction of Harris. Harris is being utilized a lot more here in the passing game than he was in Dallas.
Oh, yeah, he's done a great job in the return game, and he's shown everybody that he can be a good receiver. That time covered one-on-one across the field by Justin Coleman. He had a half a step, but Eli Manning did the right thing, careful with the football, and was hoping Harris could just make a really fine catch.
Here's Vereen coming back to flank the quarterback on 3rd and 8. Just inside the red zone. Pocket seal. Manning over the top to the end zone and incomplete. That was Miles White begging for a flag and not receiving it. Coleman, who had the fumble recovery, gets the help with the breakup here.
Yeah, gets behind him. Well, why there was no flag, Jim? There was contact, but you always have to look. Does the defensive back, he was looking for the football. He has every right to go for it too, and I think that's why they held the flag. Josh
Brown is out for a field goal attempt. Like Gostowski, he has not missed a field goal this season. They both came into the game 19 of 19. Gostowski's already hit one, and this to match it. It's good. From 37 yards out, Josh Brown ties it.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly. And by Nissan. Innovation that excites.
Tom Brady and the Patriots. 8 yards of offense in this second quarter after 137 in the first. Really burning up most of the clock with the opening drive that led to a touchdown. Amendola tries to cut it outside and out of room there, shy of the 20. On Saturday, November 7th, the Patriots partnered with Make-A-Wish to make the dreams of 11 children come true. The kids had a chance to meet with Tom Brady, as well as Rob Gronkowski, Jimmy Garoppolo, and had a chance to play football with them and other Patriots players. Okay, Brady for this game, 11 out of 16, 99 yards and a touchdown pass to Scott Chandler. He finds Amendola on the ground for a pickup of 8.
Well, that was a nice throw, and Tom Brady, knowing when you go against number 41, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, you got to be careful. He read the quarterback, but Tom Brady saw it, threw it hard, low, where Rodgers-Cromartie could not make that interception.
4 catches for Amendola. And again, Edelman has not come out since being taken to the locker room. That's blocked. Giants plug up the middle. It'll be 3rd and a long one. What are you seeing out of this Giants defense that entered the week last in the league?
Well, you know, I think, Jim, they're gaining confidence in the matchups that they're feeling, and and playing against on the offensive line. Their defensive line's holding up pretty well. But we can't overstate the fact that Julian Edelman is not in there. That takes away 2 cover guys, or an extra cover guy that would be on him that now can be put somewhere else.
3rd and 1. They're going to throw for it. And the pass caught by Gronkowski. Nice grab by Gronk and a gain of 12.
Really good job by Tom Brady. They've really never done this a lot to wide receivers, but they do it to Gronkowski because he does go deep, runs a lot of double moves.
So we're going to reach the 2-minute warning for Gronkowski's 2nd catch in the game. 10-10. We're back at MetLife Stadium for the 2nd time this week after witnessing the Bills win over the Jets on Thursday night. Coming out of the 2-minute warning.
Yeah,
enjoying our digs here at MetLife. Here's Brady on 1st down. Goes for another option. It's Amendola. And he is tossed down by Rogers Cromartie.
It's good to come here to the stadium now and have people say hi to me and saying all the other stuff they used to say when I was playing. That's why I was smiling when we were on camera. We go, hey, Phil, we don't remember when you played, but we heard you were okay. Yes, whatever.
You always got a big ovation here at home, didn't you?
Well, there you go. Yeah, that's a nice shot. Thank you.
2nd and 3. And over to LaFell. What a nice knockdown that time by Hosley.
Well, Hosley in there playing for Prince Amukamara, and he is having a fine game today. Tom Brady was under pressure, had to anticipate the throw, and that is textbook how to do it. Left arm in front, right arm behind. Giants very happy with the way he's come in and taken over the spot by a former #1 draft pick who's out with an injury.
Minute 22 to go in the half. Timeout called by the Patriots, leaving them with 1. Meanwhile, the Giants still have their full load of 3. Coming up, the Verizon halftime report. JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, Coach Cowher. All the latest scores and highlights and analysis of today's game, all coming up on the Verizon halftime report. They'll update you on Minnesota and Oakland. Kansas City having its way with Denver out in the Mile High City at the moment. I'll update you on that as well.
One thing I've noticed from this Giants secondary, and it's, like you've said, noted many times, it's been a rough year for this Giants defense, but their coverage today, and they're playing man-to-man almost every snap. It's been good. Tom Brady having a hard time going down the field, making a big play.
Dahl on Gronkowski. That matchup at the top. 3rd and 3. They hit Gronkowski to pick up a first on the last 3rd down occasion, and they go back to him, and Dahl reaches in and knocks it out of his hand. A flag's at the line of scrimmage.
Well, it was movement by the Patriots.
Yeah, Brady understands that as well.
Illegal motion, offense number 80 is moving toward the line of scrimmage at the snap. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Watch Amendola, number 80, faking like he's going to go across the field. Now he's gaining ground, and that's illegal.
Gronkowski, for a moment, looked like
he just
had a step on Dahl, but Dahl recovered and knocked it out of his hands. Wouldn't have mattered anyway.
Yep. When he raised his hand, Dahl ripped his hands through it.
We got another flag down back at the line of scrimmage as Harris is shoved out of bounds at the 16, but we'll check this flag. It was on 4th and 3. And again, it's against New England. So the Giants have the timeouts to work with here, all 3.
Holding by the kicking team, number 38. A 10-yard penalty will be enforced from the end of the punt return. 1st down.
And if they have a chance to do a little business here before the half, remember they also will be receiving the 2nd half kickoff after deferring at the start. Coming up again, the Verizon halftime report back at the broadcast center. How about that suit today by Bart Scott? Looks like the Jets uniforms from Thursday night.
And you know what? I can't even comment on it. He walked, just think, he got up this morning, looked in the mirror and said, man, this is awesome. So, the eyes of the beholder, he can pull it off. You could maybe. I know I couldn't.
I've heard of the green jacket. I don't know about the green suit.
That's what I thought was coming. That's right. They gave you the pants to go along with that Masters jacket.
First down, New York from the 26. And they're going long for Randall. And Randall pulls it down. Took it away from Logan Ryan. And the Giants have it at the New England 43, 31-yard pass play.
Do we see the pattern here? This is what's going to happen. If you're going to get near the line of scrimmage and play tight, very nice move at the line of scrimmage by Randall. And Tom Coughlin sat in front of us yesterday and goes, Rueben Randall, man, you know, he's almost completely healthy. He wanted big plays down the field. And what does he do? He's a big receiver, goes up and makes the contested catch.
Doing his best Mario Manningham impersonation.
That's right, against the Patriots.
In Indianapolis, Super Bowl 46. So timeout by the Giants leaves them with 2 and exactly a minute to go.
Every receiving corps needs that receiver like Rueben Randall, who makes those kind of catches on the sideline, over the middle, wherever, where you use your size, your body to take advantage of a smaller defensive back.
Eli is over 200 yards passing in this first half. And looking to go up top again and long. It's going to be out of bounds. As Butler had complete coverage on that one. Intended for Beckham. Oh, we were talking about the throw and catch to number 82, Mario Manningham, to set up the Giants' winning touchdown. It was the first play of the game-winning drive back 4 seasons ago. 2nd and 10. Oh, and dropping it in the open field was Ty.
Big drop in many ways. Puts him in good position. You want to at least, no matter what, Jim, get a little closer so you can get a field goal. And look at, he could turn that corner, and it's just him and McCourty and nobody else on the defensive side.
Probably would have had a first again, seeing all this action with Larry Donnell out with that neck injury. Third and 10. That picks up the first. Dwayne Harris. They say he was stopped inbounds, so the clock will run.
Inside, you see Chandler Jones trying to find a spot. Went against the center that time, Weston Richburg. Couldn't get to the quarterback. Eli Manning really getting outstanding pass protection.
Timeout Giants, that's their second. It's a 30-second timeout.
Coughlin probably not happy that they said that he was not out of bounds, that they ruled him down just before he was shoved out. It blew the whistle, they said, so forces the Giants to take the timeout.
Well, good job by them recognizing it. It was a good call on the field. There's Tom's going to in the slot.
So he catches about 4 or 5 yards in.
Forward progress to start. He was driving him backwards, and when you do that, that is, play is over. Clock's going to keep running.
1 timeout for New York. From here, it'd be about a 50-yard field goal, but they have bigger ideas. Down the middle, wide open. Down to the 10, to the 5, and stopped just a foot shy of the end zone is Will Tye. He held on to it this time and knocked down a couple of defenders to pick up 31.
Best throw of the day by Eli Manning in this game, probably by either team. He put that between defenders. The Patriots rush 3, 8 in the secondary, and he sees Patrick Chung come forward and throws it right behind him to Tye.
Well, the Giants have just used their last time out, and they'll have a chance to get another look at this. Of course, we're inside 2 minutes. That's awfully close. There's the knee. That's going to be the right call.
Yep, really good call.
Yep.
But it's first down, plenty of time for the Giants.
No booth review necessary here. No timeouts, 22 seconds. They'll bring in a fullback, Nikita Whitlock. Rashad Jennings is the running back.
They can run it here. They don't have to throw it every time. If they don't get another run, they just got to hurry back and get in formation.
Well, with pressure, gets it away, and just a little too steep for Will Tye, who was all alone in the end zone. Nate Ebner forced that high throw as he was blitzing from his safety position.
Comes across almost the same play that the New England Patriots ran, but it's really the other way that we saw Tom Brady throw a touchdown on. The pressure, Ebner made Eli throw it high.
Now they go to the gun. Timeout called by the New England defense.
It just happened so fast off the edge that Nate Ebner got there so quick. Eli Manning, when you know you're going to get hit as a quarterback and you're going to throw that type of pass, you can just imagine the adrenaline that goes through your body real quick, and that's why you overthrow some of those types.
They brought in Shane Vereen. The Giants have. Now down to 18 seconds to go. Again, all the timeouts have been spent.
You could still run it if you had a third down run, a pass play call, but I don't think they will. But it would be tight and risky, especially against a big defensive front.
Beckham to the right side. McCourty on him. To Harris. Did he get the feet down? First thought was no, but they're conferencing. Touchdown, New York.
Well, what do? Tight coverage. Go to the inside receiver. Did he drag the left foot? Looks like he did to me. Eli Manning knew before the football was, oh yeah, there you go, great shot.
Dwayne Harris with his 4th touchdown reception of the season, plus he had that 100-yard kick return that defeated Dallas a few weeks back. Touchdown is confirmed.
No, you just never saw him down in Dallas getting the chance to catch the football. And the Giants, out of necessity, started using him.
Extra point is good.
Well, Eli Manning knows what he's going to do. Dwayne Harris, you know he has great hands. He has all that room to work with. So
Justin Coleman fell down.
Yeah, he was trying to be too aggressive. He was so aggressive, expecting a really quick throw, that once Harris went to the back of the end zone, that's why he fell. Well, look.
Eli Manning with 2 touchdown passes and 251 yards passing.
Oh, that's great. Well, this stadium, it's, he said before the game, you could feel it. The electricity. Look at the pass. Look at the wide receivers, 180 yards. The Giants, boy, you know, there's always hidden messages to us. We got to be aggressive. We're going down the field. And they've lived up to that in both. And not only are they going down the field, they're making the catches.
It's the most yards that Eli's thrown for in a first half in regular season action in his career. Again, 251. He did have 274 back in 2011, a Super Bowl winning year at Green Bay at 274. But best for a regular season in the first half for Eli coming here today. And remember, just 9 seconds to go in the second half. Kickoff will be coming back to the Giants.
12-20, the 250 yards. It's like numbers you used to see a long time ago, Jim, when, you know, it seemed like every pass was going down the field 30, 35 years ago, 30, 20. Now it's an underneath passing game in the NFL, but not so far by the Giants today.
A 7-point lead by New York. It matches the Patriots' largest deficit of the season. What has been an undefeated season to this point. Into the first half with the score, the New York Giants 17, the New England Patriots 10. We'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50. Two Manning touchdown passes. One went for 87 yards to Odell Beckham Jr. The other one right before the half to Dwayne Harris. And it's time for Who Are You Lovin', presented by McDonald's Game Time Gold. It was the Giants' second play from scrimmage. Beckham got between Butler and McCourty, and he took it all the way for the touchdown to match the opening drive touchdown put together by the Patriots. An 8-minute drive to start the game. How does this team do? I think there are 30 other teams would like to know
yeah.
how the Giants go out. Of course, it's just halftime here, but how they step up against this team.
Well, you know, the Patriots, defending Super Bowl champion, undefeated. Now, if that doesn't get you excited to try, we saw it last week with Denver at Indianapolis, the same thing. You felt the emotion coming from the Giants, and they've done what they've wanted to do. Controlled the ball enough with their run, and they've been taking the big throws down the field and making them.
Harris, who caught that touchdown before the half, is the leading kick returner in the NFL right now by average. Here he goes. Covered up, knocked down. Chung falls on him at the 20. Let's get a report from Tracy.
Jim, no update as of now on Julian Edelman. He remains in the locker room with that left foot injury. I asked Bill Belichick who needs to step up in his place, and he said everyone. As for Tom Coughlin, he was elated with his team's play in that first half. He said the difference between the first and second was a huge confidence builder. He said he feels his team can play with these guys, and they need to settle down. That's the defense. That's what they did in that first half. He'd like to see that in the second half as well, Jim.
Well, you just looked at Jonathan Freeney. There's another injury we really haven't given enough service to, and that's the loss of Jamie Collins, inactive today. Handoff here to Jennings. He's their leading tackler on the season, and he's, I think, maybe one of the most unheralded players we see in the whole league, the linebacker who's absent today for the Patriots.
When you talk about the Patriots defense, it's Chandler Jones, and then you're right, inside Jamie Collins, the two most valuable. So missing one of your two big stars, of course, that's a big deal.
Two tight ends for the Giants on this 2nd and 8 play. Open again, Will Tye. And Chung tries to stop him short, but Tye was not going to be stopped until he picked up 9 and a first. Look at the second quarter yards put together by the Giants.
Well, terrific that last drive before half, the big pass plays. The Giants, it's a different looking passing attack here today. I'm sure this has caught the Patriots a little off guard down the field and not all the short underneath stuff that they usually throw.
Jennings for 3. And again, Tracy.
Jim, we just got update from the Patriots. Julian Edelman is downgraded to out for the game with that left ankle injury.
They averaged 3 yards a play, the Patriots, once Edelman went out with the injury.
54, 55, salad. Hey, easy. Hey, go right here. Hey, we have bing. Hey, legs. We have 118.
2nd and 7 here for New York. Little confusion. That was a bit awkward on the handoff. Jennings about 1.5 yards shy of the first. 3rd down coming up. And again, here is the injury to Edelman.
Left foot.
Last play of the first quarter. Well, he planted the left foot You saw him during the tackle, almost like he reached down with his free hand. He was on the injury report during the week, but that was because of a knee. He had some limited participation in Wednesdays and Thursdays practices. 3rd and 1. Went up top for it, and Chung's flagged for his defense on Shane Vereen.
Pass interference, defense, number 23. The ball is placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
Shane Vereen played in New England last year. Going to go down the sideline again. You think, oh, they're going to try to pick up the first down. That's what the Giants usually do. No, they're looking for the big play. Good call on the field.
15-yard penalty against the least penalized defensive unit in the league. They've been flagged only 13 times before today in the first 8 games. Knocked out of the hands of Beckham by Malcolm Butler. Didn't even see a flag down on the field.
Illegal hands to the face. Offense number 76. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
And it got lost in the gold.
That's exactly right. Gold for the 50th Super Bowl that's coming up. But you know, getting ready for this game, Jim. 76, Eric Flowers against Chandler Jones. Gets a hands to the face. Arms around. The Giants throw so many slants, so many underneath routes. That's why they're playing this tight man-to-man coverage outside.
1st and 20, and Vereen.
And the
Picks
Giants,
up only 3.
Right, they probably knew that they were going to be ready for these short throws, so what do? You go the opposite. The big throw to Ruben Randles, best throw of the game. Look how they're watching the quarterback, and Eli just rips it in between the defenders to tie, which led to a touchdown for the Giants. For the Giants.
2nd and 17. Manning's going to tuck it under and take off. Gets all the way to the New England 40. And that's a scramble for about 11.
Looked pretty fast there that time. Little game. Trying to get some pressure on Eli Manning. Chandler Jones gets out of position. Hightower, nobody contained him. And he took advantage of it and made it a much easier 3rd down for the Giants to try to convert.
Longest run of the game for New York. But probably needing another 3 or 4 yards to consider a field goal try by Josh Brown. 3rd and 7. On the run, incomplete, and another flag. This one on Butler. Beckham, who has not caught a pass since the 2nd Giants play of the game that went all the way.
Interference defense, number 21. The ball is placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
I was watching the coverage in the slot. Here's Beckham going to go up the field. Well, what makes this so difficult for Malcolm Butler? Oof, that is really a tough call.
Didn't see a whole lot of contact there, did you?
No, I did not. And I said what made it difficult is Eli Manning got out of the pocket, but that was just excellent coverage by Malcolm Butler.
That was 21-yard penalty in the end on number 21. And again, on the loose. Vereen for no gain. NFL Mobile, the official app of the NFL, brings you video highlights, breaking news, live scores, and more. Download today at NFL.com/mobile.
How about Joe? Malcolm Butler, 21 against Odell Beckham Jr. Last year, Malcolm Butler was just hoping to be able to dress for the games at this time.
Yeah, Beckham last year missed camp, missed the first 4 games of the regular season, and then blitzed and put together some crazy highlights the rest of the way.
Offside offense to center. Move the ball. 5-yard penalty. It's still second down.
But that matchup between Beckham and Butler, Beckham with the 1 catch so far today, you're talking about 2 players who a year ago stepped onto the national stage with highlights that'll be played forever. The catch by Beckham against the Cowboys, and of course the Super Bowl game saver by Butler.
Yep. Just the fact that Malcolm Butler was a free agent, had to go in and even go to a free agent tryout to make it to training camp. What a road he overcame to get to where he is right now.
2nd and 15. And there's Beckham's 2nd catch. With Butler on his back, and just picks up 4 or 5.
Well, they were hoping to go down the field for a big play that time to the tight end, little double move, but the Patriots are all over. Good job by Eli Manning, just not making a negative play.
Much like the Patriots did at the start of this game. Time-consuming drive to open up the half by New York. 3rd and 10. And down they go. He was open. That was Cunningham, who had a step on Freeney.
One of those throws that Eli Manning would love to have back. It's nice move off the line by Cunningham, and it's just right up the middle of the field, a seam. And if you just throw it somewhat on the line, it makes it an easy catch for the tight end where he could turn. When you try to put the perfect touch on it, that's difficult.
38 yards away, Brown, from putting the Giants up by 10. And now, 21 of 21 on the season. The Patriots with their largest deficit all year. 20-10, New York.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency. Low fares, nothing to hide. McDonald's. Teaming up with the NFL like never before. And by Creed. This Thanksgiving, fight for your name.
Well, there's a New Jersey landmark, Rutt's Hut, with those deep-fried hot dogs. They call them rippers.
A hot dog that's fried, what could be wrong?
Yeah, you get one on the way home from practice, wouldn't you? Just about every day.
Cheese on it? That's not even cheating.
And the Giants get in the backfield. Brinkley bringing down Brandon Bolden.
Brinkley, just a big, strong middle linebacker, number 53, reads the run and just comes in the backfield and takes Bolden down. And well, the Giants just confidence. Tom Coughlin said it to Tracy Wolfson. Of course, what they did there, especially after Julian Edelman went out, their confidence level has gone up. They're aggressive and making it tough for this New England offense. It's really beat up.
Aaron Dobson is in as a receiver, and after a 3-yard loss, Blunt gets that back plus an extra yard, but it'll be 3rd and 9 coming up.
Well, you know, one thing as you talk about this Giants defense, Jason Pierre-Paul, Jim, he came back last week, and Steve Spagnuolo said it, Tom Coughlin, that he just gave the whole team a lift. He made some plays against Tampa Bay because he's one of their leaders, one of their best players, and just his presence alone helps this Giants defense.
Of course, when Spagnuolo was in St. Louis, his offensive coordinator was Josh McDaniels for a year. Matched up against each other here today, the coordinators. 3rd down pass off the foot of Gronkowski, I believe, and incomplete. Maybe Dahl was in there on the coverage. Landon Collins made a play on the football. Let's see what happened here.
Dahl is there. I think it did. The way it bounced, it looked like it did come off the foot. But, you know, what do they do on the offensive side? Oh, that's right off his toe.
Here's Allen. Good punt. Harris. He's got some blocks on that sideline. and able to take it all the way close to the 45. The ball popped out at the end, but it stays with the Giants. 53-yard punt. Ebner's got it, but it was on the sideline. So good starting point coming up for New York, leading mid-third. In honor of Veterans Day, for every point scored during the NFL's 32 Salute to Service games, the league's donating $1,000 to its nonprofit partners, the Pat Tillman Foundation, USO, and Wounded Warrior Project. Join the Salute, NFL.com/salute. You had a chance to visit with retired Army Captain Florent Groberg, who received the Medal of Honor from President Obama on Thursday for his selfless service while on tour in Afghanistan.
Yes, it was nice to meet him on the field before the game. Really, as you would say, it was an honor for me to meet him, and he was pretty excited about being down there watching the guys warm up.
It's Darkwa. Give him 2. Yeah, they had scored on their first possession of the second half, the first 8 games of the season. A 3-and-out, though. First time they handled it here in the third quarter today.
Now the Patriots are in a position they usually put the other team in. They need to make a play on the defensive side to help their offense out.
2nd and 8. That's over the head. Miles White. You got the rarity today of having 2 head coaches with at least 20 years of being a head coach matched up on the sidelines today. First time since 1992.
It's amazing.
It was Don Shula and Chuck Knox.
There you go.
In 92.
We were quizzing everybody, but Tom Coughlin, that made him proud, and Bill Belichick goes, wow, I remember when I was the youngest coach in the NFL, head coach. So
how
time
fast
goes
it goes.
fast.
Yep.
Both tremendously successful head coaches.
3rd and 8. Well defended that time by Butler, and only 1 yard picked up by Beckham.
Really tremendous job by Malcolm Butler. What a chore to think that you have to go everywhere in the field, and they've been moving Odell Beckham Jr. around a lot. He's been shadowing him, got called on a pass interference, which was tough. Gave up 1 big throw, but the rest has been great at it.
Brad Wing. Well, Belichick had praise for him. We spoke to him last night. Raised in Melbourne, Australia. Went to high school in Baton Rouge and on to LSU. That's Amendola. Breaking free from 2 tackles and getting to the outside. Amendola gets past Wing and breaks another tackle. I do not see a flag. But at the end, he falls at the 7.
Did he get tripped by his own guy? It looked like he was going in to score. I was looking for a flag.
Everything was clean at the other end.
Watch the block that's coming up against Hertzlick, 94.
Yeah, I was checking that out, but it was fine.
Thought it could have been too low, but it wasn't.
Did not go out of bounds. Got a little off balance, shook it off.
Oh,
hey, tripped up over one of his own teammates. It was Harmon.
He was getting leg weary, and he was cutting it back. Didn't need to, but he ran into Harmon. That's what the Patriots needed, a big play from the defense. No, but the special teams.
82 yards, and then a handoff to Blunt for 2. That was, as you said, perhaps the jolt the Patriots needed. Amendola with the big return. We've got a Giant down. It's Rogers Cromartie. And he's going to be taken to the sideline here, and Brady and the Patriots might take advantage of his absence.
Well, the Patriots with their 2 and 3 tight end formations. Lots of options they can do against you. But this time, 3 wide receivers in an empty backfield.
Wade comes in for him. In for Rogers Cromartie, 2nd and goal. Stepping up, firing, and incomplete. But a flag is thrown in. That was McBride who tried to break it up. There was contact with LaFell. Which way does it go here, Phil?
Well, looked like I saw him come in and say a push off by the offense. Nope, not. Oh, he was wrong. Adrian Hill is the field judge, number 29.
Pass interference defense in the end zone. The ball is placed at the 1-yard line. First down.
They originally pointed to the Patriots.
McBride on the coverage.
There's a hold of the arm, and what happened is, well, that almost could have been personal foul, hitting helmet to helmet there against the defenseless receiver. But when the play is not there, the Patriots always have somebody going across the back of the end zone, and that's Tom Brady's outlet. And that time he looked at the right guy to get the foul.
Just the 2nd first down in the last 2 quarters. 1st and goal. Blunt driving the pile and stopped short. This offensive line that you set up at the start of the game, they've had to move it around. So many players missing, like Vollmer and Cannon. Wendell, he's gone. All these injuries. How's it performed so far today?
Well, you know, it's hanging in there, but you know, Jim, it's hard to judge it because they can't run their full offense because of the offensive line and the loss of Edelman.
Running behind Mason, and that is a touchdown for LeGarrette Blunt.
Your big running back against the best side that you can go to the left because of Mason. Cameron Fleming, he's big. David Andrews is having a fine year at center.
Oh, he launched, and he definitely crossed the plane. He went right behind the guard who lines up in the backfield, the rookie Shaq Mason. And Blunt finds the end zone for the 7th time this season. 6 on the ground, 1 via a pass, and Gostowski can trim it to 3.
Shaq Mason, so athletic as a guard, he gets at fullback. He could play that full time if they needed him to.
Gostowski good. All set up by this return that sparked him. Danny Amendola, he didn't get to take it the distance, but LeGarrette Blunt finished it off.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by National Car Rental. Go National. Go like a pro. And by Papa John's, official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
Inside of 5 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. LeGarrette Blunt has just scored from a yard out. Amendola did most of the work on that punt return. And Gostowski not only leads the league in scoring and hasn't missed a kick, he leads the league in touchbacks.
Well, I was looking forward to this matchup today, and it's been fun to watch. Malcolm Butler, Odell Beckham Jr., the long pass to start the game. Not all Malcolm Butler's fault, but since then, it has been some terrific coverage at the line of scrimmage. That's where Butler's winning.
Well, since that one play, Beckham's caught 2 passes for 5 yards.
Look at this. Coming across the field, a little outside in move, and Malcolm Butler right there with him.
Boy, they threw a parade for him. Gave him a key to the city.
Where, New England?
In Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Oh, Vicksburg,
his hometown. Just a few weeks after the interception that sealed the Super Bowl. Shane Vereen stacked up.
Tom Brady gave him a nice gift, too, after that Super Bowl and after that interception. And
yes, he did. Gave him a key to a car.
I think, you know, you gave him great advice. Yesterday, you said, don't ever let that car get away.
Yeah, keep it.
Keep it. Don't drive it. Put it in the garage. You'll think about it. See it every time you see it. It'll bring back great memories.
What happened to the car you got as the MVP? Oh, my goodness. 2nd and 9. There's a catch by Rueben Randle. Ball's down at the 34.
Just a great play by Eli Manning. Looking right the whole time. Shuffles to his left and then finds Rueben Randle going across the field. And he's double covered by Devin McCourty and Logan Ryan. So good job of not giving up. The fact that you're double teamed, and an excellent job by Eli Manning moving. How about that offensive line?
We're 118. What's that?
Give to Jennings. First down run for 3. We've got an update. James Brown leads the way in New York.
Jimmy, it is not pretty.
The 4th interception on the day for Peyton Manning here by Ron Parker. The numbers for Peyton on the day, 5 of 20, 35 yards. The Denver offense only has 49 total yards, and we're in the 3rd quarter.
Did you hear that? Thank you, JB and Bill. 5 completions, 4 pass interceptions.
I heard it.
We've got a Giant down. It's Weston Richburg, the Giant center, will step aside. Weston Richburg, the Giant starting center, hobbled and hopped to the sideline with the assistance of 2 members of the training staff. Dallas Reynolds has come in to snap it on 2nd and 7. He'll get into the game and immediately be called on for the shotgun snap to Manning. Pre-snap penalty coming here against the Giants.
False start offense, number 61. 5-yard penalty. It's 2nd down.
Well, Saturday, the crew, our SEC crew, Silver and Milton, Lundquist, Danielson, and LaForce. They will bring you the best game from the best conference as LSU takes on Ole Miss. The hoopla begins with college football today. Next Saturday on CBS. 4th penalty on the Giants this quarter. And it's a 2nd and 12. And there's a high snap on the first one for Reynolds. And will there be a flag? Yes, there will. It's going to be on Melvin. Rashawn Melvin, the backup corner, trying to defend on Miles White.
Pass interference, defense, number 24. The ball is placed at the spot of the foul, 1st down.
Well, they're calling it tight. Little grab there, puts his hand on it. Another. Well, there it is. That's a good call. He pushed him, impeded the progress, that time of White. Eli Manning saw the coverage, and once again, the inside receiver kind of going outside where there's lots of room for Eli Manning to make that throw.
3rd pass interference call against the Patriots in the quarter.
Well, they're saying, okay, you want to be aggressive, so will we. And it's, so far, you'd say the Giants overall won that battle.
Jennings busting ahead and then boxed out at the 45. Give him 5.
You know, Jim, there's no tricks to this Giant offense that you're watching. They're just standing there, and depending on how you're going to play us, if it's aggressive, Eli Manning making the checks, telling everybody, and throwing it down the field. He's got the same situation once again right here.
On a 2nd and 5. 2 minutes to go in quarter 3. That's a 1st down catch. And Randle running laterally for a moment, trying to escape a couple of Patriots, brought down after a gain of 7, and now to move the sticks again.
Well, just give him a different look. Hey, we've been going deep. Let's go underneath. Rueben Randle against Logan Ryan. Gets here fast.
3rd catch of the game for Randle. And Jennings. As you see, Richburg going in.
Now they're missing their center and their left guard. Justin Pugh didn't play today. But first downs, look at the first downs, and I'll tell you this. Eli Manning has moved when he feels pressure, has gotten great protection.
And 16-3 since the first quarter after that opening drive where the Patriots went all the way in over 8 minutes, and that's thrown away over the head of Harris. This was something that Eli talked about, is got to help our defense, is what he told us. He said, we're very aware that as the highest scoring team on the other side, we've got to keep our defense on the sideline as much as we can by doing things right with the offense.
They've done that very well here today. We give a lot of credit to that Giant defense when it's out there. It's been physical, fast, and aggressive. That's why the Giants are winning right now, 20-17.
It's 3rd and 7. And it's incomplete. Beckham with Butler with the tight coverage. And Butler's proud of that effort.
He should be. I mean, it's unbelievable. Eli Manning got to step up in the pocket, had extra time to throw. Bottom of your screen. Well, this time he makes no doubt about it. Doesn't even touch him. He gets his hand in there to knock it down.
And they're going to go for the long field goal try here on 4th and 7. Had all kinds of options. It's going to be a 53-yard attempt for Josh Brown. He's already made one from that distance this season.
I like this. Tom Coughlin's an aggressive coach in his decisions.
And a kick by Brown. Absolute dead center.
It just makes sense. Where they are, no wind in this stadium, which I find unbelievable, but it is dead still. And look at the football. Moved a little to the left, but as I follow Tom Coughlin's career, as he's been a head coach, Jim, he's willing to go for it on 4th downs, aggressive in his decision making. He made the easy choice with that field goal.
And that thing had a lot to spare. Let's go back across the river to JB and Coach Cowher.
Hey, Jim, an inevitable decision.
Yeah, Brock Osweiler replaces Peyton Manning, and that's his pass on 3rd down. It's almost picked off. Again, we know Peyton's numbers, 5 of 20 on the day, 4 interceptions, and now has been benched by Gary Kubiak for Brock Osweiler, who will finish the game.
Jim Nance, Phil Simms.
Well, you felt all week. You've been warning me that you thought the Chiefs. We saw the first matchup between these two on Thursday Night Football. The Chiefs had them, gave up a big lead. Peyton led them down the field, and there was, of course, the Charles fumble that was run back for the winning score in the closing seconds.
Well, yeah, I did. There are some good matchups. Emmanuel Sanders, not sure if he's in that game, but he's their best guy to beat tight coverage. The Chiefs are loaded with defensive backs, and yeah, I kind of said it, Jim, but you know, when it came to picking the game, of course, I took the home team. So it's easy to talk about it, but what a job by the Chiefs out there in Denver today.
Yeah, Sanders without a catch in that game, targeted 4 times. But Peyton had been on the injury report all week and was limited.
I'm sure that was a tough decision, but injury could have played part of it.
It was a rib injury that limited him for the most part. Short kick. Amendola, short side, and out at the 20. Today's Next Gen Stats presented by Esurance, auto and home insurance for the modern world. Check out Amendola.
19-20, the blocks, and then as they get near Harmon, number 30, hustling, trying to be part of the play, and then knocks him down. Danny Amendola asked to do so much. Wide receiver, returner.
Those Next Gen Stats presented by Esurance. First down, Patriots. Wide open. Chandler sees it go right through his hands. He was left alone in that Giant secondary.
Well, they caught him by surprise. Giants playing run. Extra tight end in the game. And he was wide open. Nobody covered him.
And again, for those of you just joining us, the Patriots lost Julian Edelman to injury on the last play of the first quarter, and things for this offense have been far different ever since he left. Great grab that time by Gronkowski.
Oh my gosh, what a catch. What a
third catch goes for 14.
It's not that he catches it. He doesn't even break stride. Watch as he comes out here. Just reaches down. How easy did he make that look? And then full speed after he catches it. I'm sure Tom Brady, when he threw it, he went, oh, he was getting ready to talk to himself. And he goes, oh, that was just a great save by Gronkowski.
Blunt decides to take it to the right side, and he's knocked down by Rogers Cromartie.
I know this Patriots offense was hoping to really overpower the Giant defensive front. That's not been the case here today.
Giants will go to the fourth quarter with the lead at 23-17. We'll return after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Say here to that. We start the fourth quarter here at MetLife Stadium. Jim Mansfield, Sims, Tracy Wolfson, Mike Arnold, Lance Barrow, all the crew as we get set for the final 15 minutes. Some of the vital information on your left. Only touchdown of the third quarter scored by the Patriots, set up by the long punt return. Here's Brady in trouble, and the ball comes out. They rule it a fumble on the field, and that's a pickup by Kuhn. He was hit by Brinkley.
Well, they wanted to go down the field for a big play, so he has to hold the football a little longer, and that is definitely a fumble. He had Danny Amendola going to the outside, wide open. But Brinkley, we saw him in the run game, making a good tackle.
And again, this is a Giants defense that's applied very little pressure to quarterbacks this season. Strip sack, fumble. They had only 9 sacks on the year coming in. That's the lowest for the Giants franchise through 9 games since the stat was first compiled back in 1963. But there they are with this takeaway category, best in the league. Their 22nd takeaway of the year. Sets them up at the 31. Big to Darkwa. Coming back for it with a flag down. Randall. Logan Ryan was the defender. The play went for 12.
Something the Giants love to do. Act like they're going deep down the sideline, stopping and coming back to the football.
There were fouls by both teams on the play. Illegal contact defense, number 32. There was also pass interference offense, number 82. The penalty's offset. Replay first down.
So Randall pushed off to get open, but a penalty also called on McCourty in his coverage of Cunningham.
Yep, good call against McCourty. And the arms extended by Ruben Randall. Also excellent call on the outside.
Peyton. Ninkovich drags him down. He turned around and Ninkovich was right in his face when he made that spin move.
It was a huge sack, takes him out of field goal range. Ninkovich just keeps working against Newhouse. And what the Patriots did, they changed their defense. They played zone. They made Eli Manning hold that football for an extra beat, and Ninkovich got there.
2nd and 23, a field goal. You know, make it a 2-score game here.
That's exactly
so that sack
right.
is huge. And he puts him back at the 44, out of range at the moment. One loss. Incomplete. Ryan and Randall were battling for it.
That's what I expected from the Patriots right there, to be very aggressive And why do you want to be aggressive? Because you want to keep them out of field goal range. So there's no choice. You play us off zone, Eli Manning is going to hit the receiver or find the open guy. That's what they built this offense around.
Probably need about 10 yards to bring Josh Brown into the equation.
As I say that, they're going to sit back there and try to read the quarterback.
There's pressure, pass to Ty, and he stepped out. Only a gain of 2. They're going to punt.
3-man rush.
The Ninkovich play was a big one.
It keeps the Patriots really, just keeps all their options open where they don't have to just throw it. But watch, there's really just 3 men. And I don't know what they were doing, if Eli Manning was supposed to roll right to look to try to get a completion.
Wasn't going to have a lot of time because Chandler Jones got the edge.
They forgot the blocking.
Brad Wing, his job here to pin him deep, not get a touchback, and it's going to be instead fair catch at the 13 for the yard punt.
Boy, we've seen Ninkovich over the years, Jim, make so many big plays, and that was one here today.
Back in the booth with Tommy Spencer, editorial consultant. You saw Ethan Cooperson down there on the stats, and we're coming off a giant drive that stalled up. A big Ninkovich play. Here's Brady to Amendola, knocked down at the 20. Now we're talking about for the Patriots, 11 straight wins. Their last loss was week 17 last year against Buffalo. Then, of course, win the 3 playoff games, the first 8 games of this season. You're going against a Giants team that has lost some games in the fourth quarter this year, including the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yes.
In fact, 3 of the 4 Giant losses, they had the fourth quarter lead. It's Blunt. May have gotten pushed across. He's going to have the first with that last effort. Let's go back to New York.
Hey, Jim, Peterson is loose.
Yeah, Adrian Peterson goes 80 yards right here after a Terrence Newman interception. He has 203 yards on the day. With a Green Bay loss and this Minnesota win, they take over first place of the NFC North.
Looking to lock it down. Back to Jim Nantz.
How about the job by Minnesota and Mike Zimmer, as Green Bay suddenly is not the same team, having lost today at home to Detroit. 3 straight losses. Vikings going to be 7-2. Here's Brady over the top. Open is Gronkowski. He gets away and he has it inside the 20. They're not going to catch him. 76 yards to Gronk. Dahl and Merriweather collided, and the Patriots are a Gostowski extra point away from taking the lead.
Jim, they do this every single game. They love seam passes. They're great at it. Gronkowski's going to go right down here. Watch him as he goes. And then as he gets past, Brady looks it off. He looks to his right, turns. And then just what we saw early in the game against Odell Beckham Jr., the safety taking an angle that's too tough. And Gronkowski, what you find out always when you play him, he's much faster than you ever think, so athletic, makes the catch once again, makes people miss, and gets a big touchdown for this offense.
Well, he had been really held in check by and large for the first 3 quarters, had only 3 catches for 30. He has just turned in the longest play of his career. 76 yards to Gronk. New England has the lead back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. Watch live primetime games with NFL Mobile, only on Verizon. Clean, crisp Coors Light. And by New York Life, here to help you keep good going.
New England 24, the New York Giants 23 with 11 and a half to go. 2 star receivers, Beckham and Gronkowski, both getting their career-long plays today in this game. Let's go down to Tracy Wolfson.
Thanks a lot. 2 injuries right now on the Giants sideline. Center Weston Richburg has a left ankle injury. He has been downgraded to out. And linebacker Mark Herzlich has a quad injury. His return is questionable.
Well, thank you, Trace. The Richburg injury happened on the previous series, or 2 series ago. You got Reynolds, a 4th-year player out of BYU. Out of the shotgun, they begin this drive. Rolling out. And Beckham had his hands on it, broken up by Butler. Again, Thursday Night Football will get your weekend started. Marcus Mariota and the Titans take on the Jacksonville Jags. AFC South action Thursday Night Football only on NFL Network.
I said it earlier, I'm going to say it again. Malcolm Butler last year went to a rookie free agent tryout.
Yeah, tryout camp, maybe 1 out of 50 sometimes gets signed.
You got it. You got to set yourself on fire for the team to notice you. He made it and turned into this guy we see here today.
2nd and 10, they were chasing after Manning and forced the early throw. That was Chung blitzing.
Caught him by surprise. That's what it is. Blitzing from the left, top of the screen. Patrick Chung, he's a different guy. He played for the Patriots, goes to the Philadelphia Eagles after 1 year, comes back to the Patriots, and he's just a completely different player. So aggressive, physical, able to cover. Him and Devin McCourty make quite a duo at safety.
6 DBs in. Manning after 2:51 in the first half, 38 yards in the second half. Going for a long one and incomplete.
How about that? Odell Beckham Jr. just pats Malcolm Butler on the rear end and says, man, this is something. What a battle. It really is. And the Patriots, they didn't back off after they got beat with these long throws down the field. Boy, both of them going for the football. Malcolm Butler right there.
So the Giants give up the football on a short series for them. Amendola steps out at the 34. We've got a flag.
Yeah. Blocking the back.
You talked about that tryout camp. We asked Malcolm how many teams showed any interest, and he said, you know, the Jets in Miami called after his season ended at West Alabama down in Livingston, Alabama.
During the return, illegal block in the back by the receiving team number 23. 10-yard penalty enforced from the spot of the foul. New England keeps the ball, 1st down.
Earlier today, amazing what Ben Roethlisberger can do. We thought he'd be out for several weeks. Had to come in after Landry Jones went down with an early injury. Wait till you see the numbers he posted. James Stewart, the Panthers, undefeated, winning in Tennessee, remaining unscathed. Peyton gets his mark in history, but this is going to be a day that, in many ways, really knowing Peyton, it's going to be one he'd really like to forget. With the 4 interceptions, Kansas City dominating Denver. Knocked down right away. Amendola for 6.
Well, you know, Jim, one thing I noticed getting ready for this game, you see Tom Brady doing more of this than ever before. Looking one way, turning, finding his receiver, and just making throws like that. You know, physically, even today, Brady's been spot on with every throw. The one that he actually threw bad is the one that Rob Gronkowski reached down, grabbed, and kept moving full speed. So his throwing, his accuracy, the power on the football is good, maybe as it's ever been for Tom Brady.
2nd and 4. Pressure from behind, and again the ball is coughed up. And there is Brian Stork to fall on it and save what would have set up the Giants at about the 25. Robert Ayers was the one who knocked it out of Brady's hand. Stork just coming back after missing the first half of the season. And there's Ayers making the play.
Ayers had a chance to make the play because the coverage to Tom Brady's right was excellent, made him pull the football down. Ayers kept hustling. Almost made the play to turn this game back around.
3rd and 4. That's a first down catch by James White. White's going to be one of these players going to have to step up as the season marches on without Dion Lewis. This sub-back position, as they call it.
You said it right. And in fact, Jim, I really kind of expected to see more today than we have. You know, Tom Brady said in practice, hey, look, they missed Dion Lewis. There's no question. He was tremendous in his role, but he said White was awesome in practice, but only a few times on the field so far today.
Take the handoff to Blunt. And there's Brady with the long ball to LaFell, and he caught it. Went right through the defender's hands. Mosley somehow did not get a hand on it. And it's a 54-yard hookup, Brady to LaFell.
It's the bottom of the screen. What makes this so difficult, Jim, is the fact, look how far Tom Brady threw it, but it's how high he threw it. So when Mosley turns around to get it, you see so few of these passes as a corner in the NFL. Everything's on the line, in between guys. So Tom Brady absolutely got everything he had in that throw, and LaFell made the catch.
First down at the 15. Brady's hit his last 6 passes. Make it 7, but this one good for only maybe 1 on the forward progress.
You know, Jim, you play a lot of golf.
I wish.
Well, yeah, you wish. That's right.
Yeah, about 5 times a year.
In your mind. But when you stand up there and you flush that driver, it's a great feeling, right? It's just a great feeling. And watch what he does. When he throws it, I know he goes, that's all I got. Turned his shoulder. Look at the balance. High right shoulder. It is like textbook. Turned it over. LaFell made the catch.
Second down from the 14. Blunt. Look at him go. Still not down. Where will they mark it?
I think it's going to be right where you see him, on about the half-yard line or 1-yard line. But how about the work by the offensive line inside? First kind of hurry up we've seen all day.
Blunt easily to the end zone for the touchdown. We got flags.
Hey, baby.
Gronkowski sealed the side, but flags,
you said
several of them down.
He did more than seal it. He put somebody on the ground.
Holding offense, number 60. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Got it called on David Andrews.
Well, to the outside, the hurry-up offense caught the Giants. 87, top of your screen. Turns Cromartie. Oh boy, Rogers Cromartie, and just throws him over the pile. But what a big penalty against the Patriots offense.
Brings it back to the 11. Gronkowski to the near side. Brady twisted down with a flag as well. That's JPP. Pierre Paul with his first sack of the season will check the flag.
He switched sides. Most of the day he's been to the offense's left. He went to the right that time.
Illegal hands to the face, defense. It's a 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Take away the sack. Set up the Patriots at the 6.
Let's see if we can find it. Watch the center. Well, that's not it.
There's an extra little added shot to the running back. Kuhn got to him first. Kennard added another hit. Blunt with the 29 carries a week ago, 19 more today. Second and goal from the 5. Bolden into the backfield for the Pats. Fake to him. Brady's pass. It's intercepted at the goal line by McBride. Jermaine McBride stepped right in, and Brandon LaFell took a page from Malcolm Butler.
What a play by McBride. Down the bottom of the screen is where they're trying to throw it, and he undercuts LaFell to get the interception. LaFell falling away from the football, throws behind anyway. McBride going towards the football and made the catch. A little bit of a similarity there between the Super Bowl interception. Not quite, but
a little bit.
Close.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady
with his 3rd interception thrown the entire season. That's it. But
of course he's upset, Jim. I think he's just upset the fact of where he threw the football.
His first second half pass interception of the year, 3 on the year overall. Jennings for a 3. Going to welcome part of the audience just joining us now. Been watching Kansas City dominate Denver today. Jim Nantz, Phil Simms, Tracy Wolfson. Been a thriller here from the start. A lot of big plays. Patriots lead it. 5.5 to go. That's Jennings. It'll be 3rd and 1 coming up. The Patriots were threatening to go in, and Brady got picked off for only the 3rd time this entire season. Intercepted at the goal line.
Just think what's happened here of late. Touchdown, LeGarrette Blount. Oh, holding call. You know, bring it back. Get it back in position again with a foul by the defense. The Ninkovich sack took the Giants out of position. Many big plays here in the 4th quarter.
The Giants offense not anywhere close to what it was doing in the first half. 3rd and 1. Manning's pass on the mark to Beckham. And Hightower rides him down. First down Giants with 4.5 to go.
That time Eli Manning stood in the pocket and just drove the football down the field. It's a zone coverage. Everybody's watching the quarterback. And Odell Beckham Jr., what a job coming around the underneath coverage. And Eli Manning put a little heat on the football to make sure it got there.
That's Vereen. Good second effort by the former Patriot, who had 11 catches in the Super Bowl win against Seattle. And speaking of the Seahawks, here's the continuation of Week 10 tonight. Arizona and Seattle on NBC. Houston at Cincinnati, ESPN Monday night. And then NFL Network will be there for the Titans against Jacksonville. Thursday night, NFL Network only. 2nd and 2. Short 2. And that's Beckham reaching up for it. He had fallen. And again, some of you just joining us, the Patriots thought they had scored before that interception, but Andrews was called for a hold. Blount had taken it in from a yard out. There's a first down pickup. That'll move the sticks. Watch 60 right here.
Yep, good call. Wrapped his arms
around Jenkins. And then the pass intended for Brandon LaFell. And jumping right in front of him was Trumaine McBride. McBride out of Ole Miss. And now the quarterback out of Ole Miss, trying to drive the Giants down. Slings it over to Jennings to the 41.
This Giants offensive line, I mean, what can you say about them? They've been terrific against the team that coming into this game was one of the leading sack defenses in the NFL.
And missing 2 starters now. Justin Pugh inactive today, and Weston Richburg getting injured earlier in this half. That's incomplete. Off the hands of Jennings. Mayo on the coverage. Just a reminder, next Sunday, the NFL on CBS regional action. Many will see Denver and Chicago as the Broncos will be looking to rebound after consecutive losses, plus other regional action. It all gets started at noon Eastern time with the NFL today. Suddenly, John Fox has the Bears playing good football. Big win today at St. Louis.
It was big third down here. If they don't get it, what will Tom Coughlin do?
Take something off of it. He's got an open man. It's Harris in field goal range at the 28. Beautiful pass by Manning.
Sorry, Jim, but it was really excellent technique by Harris. He fakes inside, a little double move, and that gets him away on the outside, gets him away from Melvin. So that head fake, the quick step inside, great job by Harris.
Timeout called by New England with 2:10 remaining.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subway. The legendary sweet onion chicken teriyaki. Subway, eat fresh. And by Cialis.
Coming out of a Patriot timeout with 2:14 now. They reset the clock, 2:14 remaining. First down at the 28 of New England. A drive that started for the Giants at their own 3. Jennings powers ahead to the 23. And another quick timeout called by New England. Leaving the Patriots with 1. These two have been tangling all day long. Their first ever matchup. For those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS. The Patriots and the Giants. Jim Nantz, Phil Simms, Tracy Wolfson. What a game it's been here. Patriots leading by 1 with 2:10 to go. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety following this game, except on the West Coast.
Hey, go hard 51, hard 51, hard.
2nd and 5. And throw it here. Open is Harris and shoved out by Melvin. He got the separation on the third-year corner out of Northern Illinois.
Just a beautiful throw by Eli Manning. Read the coverage. Melvin up the field. Threw it to the back shoulder. How about the number of big throws down the field today by Eli Manning? Tom Brady's made a few himself, but
see what Eli decides to do here. He's going to take a timeout. He had all kinds of strategy. If you're the Giants, your opponent has only 1 timeout left, plus the 2-minute warning. You remember the game in the Super Bowl where they told Ahmad Bradshaw, don't score.
Don't score. Yeah, well, they're going to run this. This is going to be first down. Whatever they do takes it to the 2-minute warning. You would think they would run it here to get it to the 2-minute warning.
But do you try to score here? I mean, you got a place kicker. It's a chippy from here. He hasn't missed the entire season.
Put it this way, Jim. Yes, you do try to score, because if you do the math, you could kick the field goal and that puts you up 2 points, but that still leaves enough time for Tom Brady to get some throws against you to get in field goal range.
Interesting debate here, because you're right. You know, you're going to get this if they were just to
2-minute
essentially
warning.
take a knee here. You know, the Patriots have that timeout plus the 2-minute warning. Going up top. Yeah, they're going for the gusto. Oh, it's knocked out of the hands. They rule it a touchdown for Beckham. But now they'll talk about it. Chong saying no way. Yes, they say way. Touchdown.
He was not being contested.
after the touchdown occurred.
This whole thing, we go on and on about what's a catch, take it to the ground, the Des Bryant play against Green Bay in the playoffs. And this is going to be reviewed. This is going to demand that we bring in Mike Carey.
Oh, there's contact before he establishes maybe the catch on the ground. We'll see what Mike Carey says.
Mike Carey, is that a touchdown?
No, that was not a touchdown, and here's why. In order to complete the catch, you have to have 2 feet clearly down with possession. Simultaneous with that second foot was the strip. The ball comes out, incomplete pass, and that's what I would rule if I was on the field.
Very well said, Mike.
Well, there was a lot of hesitation, Mike, on the field, too, as it happened with the officials.
Well, it happened so quick, and, you know, the passing game is complex, but when you slow it down, you see there is just not enough time with control after the second step. The ball is out. This is incomplete. This is one we all can agree on, I think. One step,
Butler's
2 step,
reaching.
street.
Yep.
He had no time to become a runner, and it's the same in the end zone as it is on the field of play.
All right, Hochul's made his judgment.
The pass is incomplete. The ball was knocked out just as the second foot touched the ground. The receiver had not yet become a runner. Therefore, it was an incomplete pass.
Incomplete is the call. I'll tell you another little nuance here. It happened with 2:01 to go, so that saves another play if you're looking at it from New England's perspective.
Absolutely huge play in the strategy of this football game. Giants, I'm not really surprised, even the play before, the long pass to Harris down the sideline, being aggressive. They've been aggressive all day long, and they've continued that right here to the end.
Let's give Butler the credit for that breakup of that pass.
He's had a tremendous day today, no question, and that play gives New England one more chance.
Second and goal. Lob to the end zone. And Butler on the coverage of Harris. And we've reached the 2-minute warning. .156 to go. 3rd and goal coming up for Tom Coughlin's Giants. Vereen comes into the backfield. Can they finish off a drive that began back at their own 3? Rolling out is Manning. Looking. Nothing there, and he cuts his losses back at the 11. We'll get Belichick run onto the field and call New England's last time out.
Really good job by the Patriots. A play that a lot of people in the West Coast offense, which the Giants run, they're going to run out here. Eli Manning's going to go out there, run that way, and the Patriots do a great job of passing it off and having everybody covered and nowhere for Eli Manning to throw the football.
Of course, Eli falls down in the field to play, knowing he cannot step out of bounds here, forcing that last time out with 1:50 to go.
What they were trying to really do, Jim, was like a moving pick, and the Patriots were ready for it. That's a play I've seen the Giants run many times, and the Patriots guessed right.
Wing on the hold. Brown from 29 to take the lead. Nice snap. Wing got it down, and Brown is 4 for 4 today. And the Giants lead it 26-24.
Good catch, good hold.
We talked about Jamie Collins being out for the Patriots. He's pretty good when it comes to these kind of situations. Blocked field goal.
Well, yeah, we've seen
jumping
that.
into the sky. We saw one of the great plays earlier this year by Collins. Not available today, inactive. There's McBride, who came up with the big interception. And no doubt he and the rest of those Giant defenders are going to be pressed now as Tom Brady is ready to go out and try to make yet another game-winning drive. Put together one. They could keep their perfect season intact if they can get in range for Gostkowski.
I think the big thing is we watch this time, no timeouts for the Patriots, and we know what they're going. What will the Giants do? Will they be aggressive on the defensive side, or are they going to let Tom Brady get this thing moving, which a lot of defenses do, by just sitting back, just trying to make the tackle, not giving up those extra yards after the throw.
Amendola standing at the goal line. His punt return in the third quarter changed fortunes for the Patriots when they were down 10 at the time. Interesting, decides not to take it out from just a yard deep. Here's tonight's lineup on CBS 60 Minutes. Scott Pelley reporting from Paris. The new episodes, Madam Secretary, The Good Wife, and CSI Cyber, only CBS. No timeouts for New England. 1:47 to go. James White stands alongside Brady. Dobson, the extra receiver. Here's the pressure. Pass down the field, and it is intercepted. That is Landon Collins, the rookie out of Alabama, that the ball hit the ground. Looks like it's ruled incomplete. Catch it, and the game's over.
The pass is ruled incomplete. There is a timeout charge to New England as a result of the injury inside the last 2 minutes. That's their second timeout.
Ball hits the ground. And as he rolls over, doesn't complete the process just like a receiver, and that's why it's incomplete. Tom Brady was blitzed, underthrew the football.
Gives Brady a chance to go over and talk to Josh McDaniels. Collins is on his feet now and heading to the sideline. He'll be without the safety on this next play.
Brady tried to get time. Jason Pierre-Paul was there. Tevin Wade, the defensive back, was there. And he needed to throw it about 10 more yards and give his receiver a chance there, but he couldn't because of the pressure.
That close to ending it. Greg Dahl comes in for Collins. Second and 10. Thrown away in the direction of LaFell. They're getting pressure on Brady consistently.
Well, listen, crowd noise, an offensive line is shuffled all around, and it's an obvious passing situation. It doesn't get any harder. Demontre Moore, number 98, fresh, doesn't play a lot of downs. They bring him in for situations that are obvious passing downs. Good job getting pressure on Tom Brady.
Third and 10 with 1:34 to play. Stepping up. And that pass incomplete. Bouncing in the direction of LaFell.
Boy, McBride, the extra defensive back, was there. Nice job by Tom Brady. When you step up in the pocket like this, you expect somebody to come open, but there really is nothing there. He went backside and a good throw, or just throwing it away into the ground.
This is a great example of how much Brady misses Edelman at a moment like this. 4th and 10. One stop by the Giants, and the Patriots' perfect season is over. Brady from the pocket. He's got the completion to Amendola. And there's a pulse for the Patriots with 1:15 to go, clock running.
Amendola really taking the roll over for Edelman, the slot receiver. Good throw by Brady.
To Gronkowski. This will take up some time now, out to the 39, gain of 7.
Well, they don't need that much more. You're talking about 25 yards, puts them in field goal range. Tom Brady elects not to spike the football.
45 seconds. Quick throw to the sideline to Dobson for the first down. And that stops the clock with 42 seconds.
The Giants have stayed aggressive on the defensive side.
Spagnuolo urging his defense. Here's Brady. And that pass affected by the rush of JPP.
That's what he does, just push the pocket. Number 90 comes all the way around that time. Jason Pierre-Paul, little hesitation. Well, that's a great job of going low, getting around the tackle. Stork and causing Brady to miss a wide open receiver down the field.
Taking advantage of the likes of Marcus Cannon and Sebastian Vollmer, both inactive, both out with injury. He'll try to tee off on that line again with 2nd and 10, 36 seconds. No timeouts, New England. Brady's got time to find a man, and he does at the 46. It's Amendola again with his 9th catch of the game.
Got to spike the ball this time.
He's not. Went for one more in the direction of Dobson, and that incompletion stops it with 19 seconds.
Well, 2nd down, situation like this, you can throw it anywhere. He could throw it in the middle of the field, Jim, because with 19 seconds, that would still give him time to go wherever the ball is completed, spike it, and give his kicker a chance.
Landon Collins, who nearly finished it off, could not hold on to what would have been the game-ending interception. He's back out there, number 21. Brady, who's thrown for nearly 200 yards in this quarter, goes to Amendola. That move, a big one.
Great move. Caught the Giants that time. They were coming with pressure. Tom Brady got rid of it quickly.
And now he spikes it with 6 seconds.
You said it. What a move by Amendola. Knowing the pressure's coming from the inside, stops and reverses field.
It's going to be about a 54-yard.
Wade on the blitz. Amendola read it. That's why he just stopped. Tom Brady saw number 31 on the blitz, and we've seen it a couple times a day. Easy for Brady to see. Took advantage of it.
Giants have a timeout if they want to do anything here to play with the mind of the kicker, who might be the best, Gostowski. 54 yards to win it. They're going to call a timeout. Giants timeout.
Say this. Great job on the Patriots offense. That whole drive was work, wasn't it? Every throw, everything was contested. Tom Brady hung in there. Got fortunate with the first play that wasn't intercepted.
What a quarter by Brady. Again, throwing for nearly 200 in the 4th. He's the longest tenured Patriot. The second longest is the man who's going to decide it now, Gostowski. He made a 57-yarder down at Dallas this year, a career long. He has not missed this entire season and has made 29 consecutive overall. In his career, 16 of 20 beyond 50, 80%. This from 54, Gostowski's kick. It's good!
Wasn't sure myself, even as I watched it go through. I didn't know if it was good or not. Even with the camera on it, it was that close.
It was hooking a bit at the end, but Gostowski
just a slight breeze, a little hook. Hangs in there.
Boy, if you ever have a game where you think you have a chance to take the Patriots, you're trying to put together a lineup. They've got so many of their missing parts. The Giants put together one of those great drives of their own, got down inside the 10, could not get the touchdown. We've had 3 fourth-quarter lead changes, and the last one comes with only 1 second left.
Yeah, that was listen, this Patriots team, you and I have said this many times, they're so disciplined, so tough, and the Giants were tough today too. But they're used to so many of these battles that they can just hang in there no matter what the odds. And look, you said it, the offensive line, Dion Lewis, one of their big pass catchers out of the backfield, Julian Edelman, all that gone, and they still found a way to beat an inspired Giants team today.
All of our technology, our kick track says that the kick, as this one goes on the ground, preventing the Giants from getting anything going. No, they actually, with Jennings, ball is on the ground, still alive to the Giants. Last minute, gives it up. That's Randall back to Beckham. Is this going to be Miami Duke or what? No, he's out of bounds. The game is over. Bill Belichick and the Patriots are now 9-0. One of the better games you'll see this whole season ends with the Patriots on top. Just when you think the Giants had their number again, the Patriots get the Gostowski winner from 54 out.
Let's say 3 times today I said the Giants got them, but the Patriots found a way. They got an opportunity, and they took advantage of it.
Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes. Scott Pelley reporting from Paris. Madam Secretary Goodwife, CSI Cyber. For Phil, Tracy, all the crew, thanks for being with us. Patriots now 9-0 on the season. The Giants fall to 5-5. This is Jim Nantz saying so long. You've been watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50.